이들은 전통적인 스파이가 아닙니다.
With the growing outrage over Sony pulling that movie, some say giving in to North Korea.
After careful investigation, the United States is publicly attributing the massive WannaCry cyber attack to North Korea.
이들은 미국 기업 내에서 신분을 위장한 채 중요한 데이터를 다루고 있습니다.
But even as we get better, the hackers are going to get better too.
이들은 누구일까요? 김정은의 핵 개발 자금을 조달하고 정보를 탈취하도록 정권이 직접 선발한 북한 IT 노동자들입니다. 북한은 단순히 미사일만 시험하는 것이 아닙니다. 사이버 전쟁을 벌이고
Making
있습니다.
North Korea today the world's leading bank robber.
하지만 위험은 해킹에서 끝나지 않습니다. 북한은 이제 IT 노동자들을 위장 취업시켜 미국 기업에 침투시키고 있습니다.
So I had a client who reached out to me. They basically said that one of their candidates for the interview process they were going through had admitted to them that they think that they're working with the North Koreans, which is an interesting situation, right?
에이든 레이니를 소개합니다. 그는 북한 IT 노동자들이 프리랜서로 위장해 미국 취업 시장에 어떻게 침투하는지 그 실태를 폭로하기 위해 잠입 수사를 진행했습니다.
And what's interesting is the client had basically found out because they saw on the news, like the DOJ indictments and the piece by Mandiant and all these other things that have been coming out recently. This was just a very fascinating subject to me. Once I knew kind of what I was learning about and what this all was, it was more than just that client for me. I was personally curious as well.
What strategy did you use to approach to them initially?
So I knew what they were looking for. So I basically reached out as if I was a friend of someone that they had contacted. I say, hey, my friend sent me this. I'm interested. How do I get involved? Kind of that sort of thing. They would be a victim. What they do to kind of hide this is they'll reach out to you and they'll say something along this lines. Hey, I'm from Poland, or I'm a Ukrainian refugee in Poland, and I do this job. Let's say it's software development, and I want to get paid more. So can you help me get an American job, and I'll pay you so I can get paid more. Does that make sense?
Yes, but still that's very sketchy and fishy.
It is, and I think like for most people, they wouldn't question. They would question it, and they would be very concerned. But I think that they do have some like easy answers, like, oh, it's just contracting work. It happens all the time, or they'll point to like the overworking stuff, like the overemployed stuff. That's kind of a recent trend where people are legitimately working multiple jobs somehow. And they'll say, oh, but Americans do it too. So they have all these answers to these questions. So unless you know, like, oh, this might be the North Korea thing, you're not going to have the right questions to ask.
But won't they be able to detect that? Like if someone's remoting into my computer?
I think it's fine to working on more than two jobs. So, for example, if you're as a contractor, it's not a problem. You can send money to buy a crypto wallet or a bank like Pioneer or something.
What was the last part? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, Pioneer. Oh, deep.
So it's multiple things. So the number one priority is the payment, yes, because this is a great stream of income for them. They'll do extortion. So they'll take a company's data while they have access to this, and then they'll extort them. They'll say, if you don't give us this much money, we're going to leak this data. Kind of like ransomware, right? And then the third part is hacking. So they can introduce security problems into software they're working on. They can gain privileged access to administrator systems and very sensitive things through these jobs. And of course, they can just straight up steal data and software and source code and stuff like that.
How often did you talk to them? And how much?
Oh, a lot. I would say almost every day, because we're setting up meetings, they're trying to create a LinkedIn for it and all this other stuff. So that's part of the reason that I got kind of emotionally involved with this as well, is because the more time I spent with it, obviously the more connected the more I saw these people as not a case, not a target, but people, and so that definitely got to me.
They actually show their face just first few times?
They have that first call where they show their face, and then the second call where they, I think, accidentally show it. And then that's it. Because the entire time there was somebody behind them, as if they were being monitored. Even in the article, that there was a clip of somebody walking behind the guy.
You saw two different faces. Can you elaborate that, please?
Three, actually. So there was the first person that I met with who showed their face the entire time. It was like a standard meeting. So that was one. The second one was two people at once. So it was only for about 10 seconds because they didn't want to have their camera on during that call. I think they turned it on by accident. I don't know if they were like they thought they were fooling me or if they just didn't care, but they definitely tried to obscure it a little bit because they didn't want to show their face in that second meeting because it didn't match at all. And they never like acknowledged that this is different people. They always referred to themselves as Ben.
미국 정부는 북한 자금을 세탁하는 암호화폐 플랫폼에 제재를 가하고 기업들에게 원격 근무자를 철저히 검증할 것을 경고하며 단속을 강화하고 있습니다.
We don't have a solution that actually solves it. There's just mitigations that we can put in place and things that we can do to detect it. So it's never going to fully go away. So there's always going to be companies that don't have enough of those mitigations in place, and so they're vulnerable.
북한 노동자들에게 이것은 단순한 일이 아니라 생존이 달려있는 문제입니다. 그들은 철저한 통제 아래에서 일하며 실패하거나 발각될 경우 상상할 수 없는 결과를 감수해야 합니다.
Like, these are real people. And that when this story comes out, it's just going to bring more heat and more problems to them. I worry about I think about it like they could be tortured, they could be killed, their families could be told they're never going to see them again, put into work camps. Like that is not a good feeling.
북한 정권은 그들을 그저 도구로 여깁니다. 하지만 모든 사이버 공격 뒤에는 결코 빠져나올 수 없는 체제에 갇힌 한 사람이 있습니다.
But as far as the people that I directly interacted with every day, like I got to know these people, maybe not as much as I'd like to, but I see them as humans, and I don't like the idea that they're going to get hurt from this, even though I know that's probably the case.